I don't do best of lists. They just seem too subjective, too personal, too arbitrary. But if pushed, when asked what really is the best restaurant in New York City, I'd have to answer Ducasse. With Lespinasse gone, the food and service here stand alone at the top of the top. Don't get me wrong, there are many excellent options all around town, many truly great chefs and restaurants, but Ducasse does a few things the others don't. And therein lies the difference. As a bit of explanation, Alain Ducasse is the chef of the moment these days. He has more Michelin stars, more hot restaurants, more books, more projects in the pipeline. He simply has more going on than any chef anywhere right now. And his restaurant in New York is a jewel. Ducasse is to restaurants what Ferrari is to the automobile. While there are plenty of excellent cars coming out of factories all over the world, in Modena, Italy, Ferraris are built slowly, meticulously, one by one, piece by piece, stitch by stitch, each one unique and simply the best example of a handcrafted car that exists. And that's how they cook here. They don't do big numbers, 60, maybe 70 a night. But when you reserve a table, it's yours and yours alone for the evening. No one dines before you, so no waiting. And no one will after you, so no hurry to leave. That is a first that I know of in New York.
I decide only one sitting, and when you have a guest, you have the time to have a dinner.
At your pace. The table is
Quite.
yours for the night.
Yes, quite.
Yeah. The cooking philosophy here is simple. Take a dish, any dish, and transform it into the best it can be. Throwing food cost out the window, the aim here is to go to any length to create the biggest, brightest, most concentrated, richest natural flavors possible. The sauce for the tuna tornadoes rossini takes a perfectly good beef stock, reworks it using braised short ribs, dry-aged I might add, and foie gras and fat just for their flavor. The foie gras dissolves, the short ribs, who knows, staff meal. But the sauce has a richness that's indescribable.
This is the
base that I was talking to you earlier.
the beef base that you've made already.
We're gonna bring it to that now. Just to cover the meat. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna cook that in the oven for like 3 or 4 hours, you know, and it's gonna reduce down slowly, and all the foie gras is gonna bring the flavor into this.
And the foie gras just dissolves into it.
It's beautiful.
We never boil any of the sauces because otherwise we want to keep them separate until we bring them up to temperature. Otherwise the color is going to look bad. It's not going to be glossy. It's going to have a mucky flavor in your mouth, like a gravy. We're not looking for gravy. We're looking for like a nice, clean, clear,
polished.
clear jus. So.
God, man, you made that face with gravy. I'm getting nervous.
Gravy.
Nothing. Vin Jaune.
Vin Jaune. It's from France. It's aged 6 years in oak.
And you guys are the largest single user of it, and it broke the proprietor's heart to find out that it's not for drinking.
This is what we use for cooking. This is great for our sauce.
Chef, 2 chicken.
So you may wonder how Alain Ducasse does this. How does he have so many starred restaurants in so many locations? Well, he delegates. He's got a very talented staff in every location, and frankly, in New York, his chef, Didier, runs the show. In conjunction with Alain, Didier creates and executes the menus nightly. Alain visits a few times a month to make sure they're on track, which of course they are, and plan for the new menu. But delegation is the key here. He has a talented following of cooks, and they stay with him.
When we made the menu, we tried to stay close of the classic, or if it's not a classic, why? Always a question: why you want to add that to that? The classic, I think, is very important. After the classic, you can do. After even in music, if you have the classic, after you can make the more modern music you want, but you need some bass. And for us, is the same. When you know how to make a sauce, after it's always more easier. I don't want to say more easier, but it's always more easier to add some flavor inside. But you need that classic to know how to do it, and this is very important.
Bone marrow, black truffle, and olives, and we're gonna stuff into the meat.
Bone marrow because there wasn't enough marble, right?
Sorry.
Because there wasn't already enough marble, so we have to add some. Picholine.
Picholine olives.
Why did you decide you wanted to be in New York?
Oh, was an opportunity. I like New York. I like competition in Manhattan, and I like the competition around the world. And when the opportunity for me to have a restaurant in Manhattan, I decide immediately.
But your opening here was difficult. The press is hard. You know, New York's a funny town, and they barely give you a chance to open the door when they come in. And I remember the New York Times, and it wasn't, you know, pretty. From your point of view, how did you feel? It was tough.
It was a hard period for me,
Yeah.
but every day the level in this kitchen and in this restaurant improves the height level. I change the quality and the
Constantly better.
Yes.
I mean, it takes a while.
This is my job.
Yeah.
Every step by step.
Of all the kitchens I visited, this has to be one of the most pleasant to work in I've ever seen. Well lit, incredibly clean, air conditioned, quiet. The cooks all work with an easy pace. Add to that the fact that they're given really very little to do each day prep-wise compared to their counterparts toiling away in other kitchens. But what they do, they must do perfectly, or as close to perfection as possible. Each cook at each station has just one or two dishes that he or she is responsible for, and often several cooks work together to complete that task. While they aren't asked to produce volume, accuracy of cooking, knife work, timing, and seasoning is at a premium. How would you summarize your experience working here?
Amazing, intense, and very exact. Everything is very precise here and methodical, and you learn that very quick and very disciplined. It brings another dynamic into cooking that you wouldn't get in any other restaurant.
Yeah, you're really cooking as close to perfect as you can.
It has to be.
And every day the same standard.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Right.
Oh yes.
Yeah, there's nothing like this in New York. There's nothing like this environment.
Right. That's why New York is privileged to have this restaurant in the city. So.
That's a familiar looking fat. Foie gras.
Yes.
Now let me ask you a question. Chef Ducasse is from where?
Southwest,
The Southwest.
so the land, so from the foie gras inside, in fact.
Yeah, foie gras. When I see this much foie gras in a kitchen, I figure the chef's got to be Gascon.
In fact, instead of using oil or butter, you want it to give the flavor, so it's better to use a foie gras when you can use a foie gras. Onions, shallots, carrots, celery, and garlic.
Of all the things happening there, you can smell the foie gras right on the top. And what is this going to, when we're done with this, where is this going to appear on the menu tonight?
It's gonna be for the amuse-bouche.
A lot of work for amuse-bouche, huh? In the kitchen, the pace-storing service is very smooth. While at other top New York restaurants, the cooks are asked to prepare hundreds of meals nightly. Here, it's always just 60 or so dinners a night, night in and night out, and that is a huge difference. If the cooks can concentrate and simply make one plate at a time, not 5 or 6 or 10, the result is less mistakes, more A+s and less B's and C's, or worse. But it all comes at a price. Not for nothing, this may be the most expensive restaurant in New York City, but I'd argue that it's worth every penny of it. All right, we're here with Andre. This baba is a signature dessert from Chef Ducasse. It's been from the Monte Carlo restaurant to the Paris restaurant to the New York restaurant. 95% of the babas you have some kind of rum flavoring in them, imitation rum, rum extract. They're really pretty awful because of that. Just to show at what level Ducasse goes to make things perfect. A, the baba is perfect, and then B, the rum. Talk to me. What am I looking at here?
El Dorado, which is from Guyana, that I like very much. There is a great complexity. There is almost this dry fruit character that is lovely. Open.
What's beautiful looking pastry.
Sponge cake.
So it's not too heavy in one spot and dry in
Absolutely
another.
not.
So you're almost imbibing it with rum. You smell it from here. I mean, this is just ridiculous.
There you go.
The pastry itself is as good as any you'll see anywhere. The flavoring is 6 or 7 of the best rums on the planet. And then the simple cream on the top to just give it that mouthfeel and maybe cut some of the alcohol from the baba. Well, enough talking.
Yeah, just enjoy. And
I'll
what you can keep in mind
do what I
also
do
is
best is eat. You know, sometimes words just fail you when it comes to food. I do my best, but I can't say wow or unbelievable. But it's extraordinary. It's the end of the meal. The meal's incredible. You've had 6, 7 courses, but you have need for a digestif. You're one of the few restaurants in Manhattan that has a great Armagnac selection, one of my favorite after-dinner beverages. Talk to me about the selection that you have here.
well, we like to recommend something a little different. You might know a lot about cognac. It's something that everybody has taste known. Armagnac is about the same, but quite different. It's from the southwest. It's just below Bordeaux.
I think I'm a Gascon at heart, but well, thanks so much, Andre. It was great. Thank you very, very much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let me sit down and enjoy a glass of Armagnac, as you should as well. Signing off from Ducasse after a very long day, but ending on the right note. Until next time. I want this one. So what do you cook after you've been to Ducasse? I mean, you know, this is always the problem. This is, you know, like the conundrum for me. I come out of these great restaurants and I'm like, all right, now what, you know? Takeout? I don't know. Ducasse is incredibly expensive, but I can't emphasize enough. If you can't go, and if you don't have the money, don't bother, because it's almost like a mortgage payment to eat dinner there. But, you know, if I was doing a car show, like the Speed Channel or something, you know, every so often you do the Camaros, you do the Mustangs, you do the GTOs, you know, you got to do like the Ferraris, you got to go like, you know, Grand Prix. That's what Ducasse is for food to me. I mean, the guy's stuff is just amazing. Didier's incredible. It took him a couple of years to really get the whole networking together in New York. Purveyors, cooks, kitchen, the whole thing, but I got to tell you, extraordinary stuff. Really, really good. So anyway, what am I going to make? While we were there, we saw that they had that like remake of an eggplant parmesan where they, you know, caught the eggplant, cut them in half, scored and baked them, blah. It was beautiful. Part of that ingredients, the mise en place, what they needed to prepare it was something called eggplant caviar. How it got its name, I'll never know, but that's a story for another day, I guess. I'm just going to pick that thread up. We used to do eggplant caviar years back at the Maurice and with Alan Sandrins in Paris. It's a great idea. It sort of gets this humble eggplant when they're in season, brush them with olive oil, put them in a 450 oven, bake them till they get real soft, shut the oven off, let them collapse. When they're cool, we're going to peel them, take them apart, get the seedy center part and throw it out, and just the flesh. We're going to get the flesh, and to it we're going to add tomato concasse, brunoise of mushroom cap, shallots, some pitted oil-cured olives, a little bit of coriander seed, some anchovies, some herbs. Then we're going to saute all that together, goes in the oven, baked with a little parchment lid, about 45 minutes to an hour as it dries up and it begins to firm up. Flavors come together like magic. It's beautiful. It's a great, really unctuous base for white fish. That's what I like. We used to do it years ago with a baked cod. Well, I'm always stuck by the market, so what do I have? I don't have cod. I wanted striped bass. I didn't catch any today. Clams. Psh, nothing. Just catching, you know, skate and sand sharks. So no stripers. I'm going to use flounder, which is really simple. Fluke is in season. The summer flounder's open, so we're going to use beautiful little, I'm going to cut them in half, little like goujonettes of flounder, sitting on top of this eggplant caviar. So you get, because it won't work with an oily fish. With a nice, dry, white, flaky fish, it's perfect, because this stuff's going to be rich when I'm done. And then maybe we'll decorate the plate with some of the, like these baked tomato lozenges like we saw at Ducasse. So we're just picking up the thread like we always do, and running with the ball. All right, first thing I got to do is get these eggplants in the oven, because these things are going to take, like I said, about 45 minutes, and I'm just going to get some olive oil. This is nice extra virgin olive oil, and I could say I'm going to brush it on there, but I'm not going to brush it on there. I'm going to use my hands. We coat it with olive oil. All right, oven's at 400 degrees. In they go. And we'll check them in about 45 minutes. Again, I want them soft, and then we'll just let them collapse, and we're good to go. We're going to do remember tomato concasse? I'm going to get these tomatoes ready. I've got a pot of salted, boiling water. Well, it's not boiling yet. Salted water behind me, soon to be boiling. And again, a little X on the bottom. You've seen this once. You've seen it a million times. Bingo. Hot salted water, very healthy looking boil. 1, 2, 3. They're just going to be in there for about, I don't know, 30 seconds. Next, it's going to get tricky. I haven't done this in a while. I'm going to use the flesh only of a red and a green pepper. All right, I'm going to open this guy up, and I'm going to take out the seed section first. Cut this in thirds so it lays flat. Next, I'm going to take the white rib part out because I don't want this. This doesn't have a great flavor. It's mostly water. Then I'm going to lay the knife down and take the skin off. So all I'm going to have when I'm done is the flesh part. And from this shape, we're going to do the famous brunoise, which is nice and small. You saw this at Ducasse. The guy was doing this with the mushrooms. And we'll turn this into brunoise as well. And like always, first comes julienne. Julienne becomes brunoise. This recipe calls for shallots. In my mind, I was thinking garlic, but then I looked at my old recipe book and, you know, it's the French, so they said shallots. Maybe I'll sneak a clove in. They don't have to be perfect anythings. Pitted, oil-cured olives. Actually, I don't know why they call them oil-cured. They're basically salt-cured as far as I could ever tell, but they refer to them as oil-cured. They got a great, you can just smell them as I cut them. Coriander seeds in this too. It's funny because my original recipe, going back to Delouvrier and Sandrin's, there weren't any coriander seeds, but at some point, somehow, I began to put them in and I like it. I just want a little, every so often, a little surprise bite. So we're going to just crack them. Tomato concasse. We're going to peel it, cut them in half this way, squeeze. Hello. There we go. Out goes the center. This doesn't have to be terribly soigné, just kind of here. Now for this particular trick, I want to cut out that center part. There we go. That's good. And I'm going to lay this thing here. It's not, look, that's Ducasse. They'd shoot me for using this, but it'll work. Salt, olive oil, no garlic really for this. And they're going to go in the oven. And we're going to check the eggplant while we're at it. Oven cam for the eggplant first. All right, they turn brown. I turned them once already. They're not quite done. They're still firm. I want them soft. These up top here. We have these out of the oven. Now they've cooled off so I can handle them. I'm going to get a little container, and I'm going to show you how I want them cleaned. Take the stem end off. Cut the bottom. Just open them up. Okay. What I want to remove is the seedy part, that's all. God, it smells good. Smells like the beginnings of something wonderful. Got my eggplant, got my thing. We're just going to rough chop this, because this stuff, like I said, at the end of the day, this is baby food for adults. At some point, we're going to need basil in here, so I'm going to have that ready as we head over to the stove. Got my olive oil happening. Bunch of extra virgin, don't be cheap. That's smoking, so the pan's doing something. And you know what I'm going to use? I got anchovies in this recipe, so I'm going to get these anchovies, open them up. I'm going to use a little of the anchovy oil too, because these also are packed in olive oil. It's a beautiful thing. All right, stand back. First things first. These guys go in. Got all the peppers, mushrooms, shallots. Throw in a little basil here too. I like that basil perfume right in the beginning. Let it sit. While I'm at it, I'm going to measure. See how this pan? I want a lid for this pan. So what I'm going to do is fold this in half. This doesn't have to be perfect, does it? I've seen guys do these perfect lids, but I always had trouble with this class in school. Kitty scissors class, so I'm just going to kind of go like this. You know, this is abstract expressionism, all right? This is not representational. Okay, it's close. It's close. It's close enough almost. We'll trim it back a little bit. It may take me a half an hour. All right. Look, drying out. See that, folks? Think I was kidding? Look how much drier that is. All you got in there now is oil. To this. A little more liquid. Here's my tomato element. Let that reduce. We'll add a couple of these anchovy fillets, and these will just break down because they're, look how beautiful they are. Eggplant goes in. Don't forget olives. Remember, the coriander seed was in the eggplant, so I don't think I forgot anything. And I'm not going to season this with salt and pepper till the very, very end. Just turn this down a little bit and just let it come to a simmer. Then I'm going to work on getting that lid the right shape. Should be about a half an hour from now. I'll just keep cutting, putting it on and cutting. Now I got my little lid, which kind of fits in a roundabout way. A lid is no good, then everything, the steam just stays in. Parchment paper works beautifully like this because all the steam can escape. Cut a little chimney in the middle, but yet you're not going to get brown color from the heat of the stove there. Check my tomato lozenges. I'm going to turn those over. All right, got about a 350 oven. Lid on. In she goes. Slotted spatula. So I want them to dry out. A little more olive oil. This side looks a wee bit dry. Come back in. We've just dried them out. You see the red's intensified. This is one little burst of flavor. Gonna be great. All right, this dish wouldn't be complete without this. Deep fried zucchini, which we're just gonna season with salt, pepper. I wish I had some fresh thyme. I don't, but I've got some gorgeous fresh oregano. You don't need a ton of this stuff. Use it judiciously. I may just give it a little one pass through the knife. Yeah. All right, got a beautiful piece of local fluke here. Take the center line out. I'm just going to cut it 1, 2, 3. I think 4 is plenty. Let's check the eggplant caviar. Oh yeah, it's done. It's done. It's dry. It's delicious. Oil temp check. I'm looking for about 375. It's getting there. It's getting there in a hurry. That oil's ready. Because there's a fair amount of moisture in these. We've got to do these in small batches. Up they come. A bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of the oregano. Just kind of mix it in like a little, like we're mixing a salad, so it's all there. Beautiful, perfect. Golden, golden. While that's cooking, I'm gonna do my ring mold here. To make things extra sexy, which is so unlike me, I'm gonna get those tomatoes and cut just the centers out of these, because I know Alain Ducasse is mad at me. Oh yeah, it's like dots, almost like dots. Got little tomato dots. I pulled the ring mold off. Gorgeous. Well, I can't seem to arrange my dots, but anyway. I'll meet you around the other side. I know, it's ridiculous. I'll meet you around the other side. This is just ridiculous. Crunchy guys up on top here. Get this up here, and maybe I'm just gonna get a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and just drizzle a little around. This is an end, but still. A little bit of that. The eggplant caviar is a meal by itself. It's great. This is good. All right. I'm not going to charge you $1.25 for this, okay? You do it at home for the cost of 3 eggplant, a few peppers, blah, blah, blah. Delicious, tasty. Ducasse, you rock. Maybe the best restaurant in America. Certainly the top 5, maybe 3, maybe 2, whatever. Keep it up. Killing me. Came to New York, had a hard time, fixed it. 4 stars, top of the top. Absolutely one of my all-time favorites. DDA Alain Ducasse, it was a pleasure to have been in the restaurant, and I don't know what this is, but you have to, what am I supposed to cook after I'm at your place, huh? You should have done a demo for me. Anyway, this is simple. The eggplant caviar thing at home, just do this. You got to understand, this stuff is so tasty. And those tomato lozenges are going to be great. I'm not going to eat one on camera, but they are just a little punch of flavor. Anyway, it's expensive. Go there. If you have the dough, try it. If you don't, hey, you saw the show. Trust me, phenomenal. I don't have a Ferrari. I drive what I drive too, whatever. Great stuff. Cook at home, have fun, do your best, and explore food. Till next time, signing off.